Yeah, and welcome back to the channel, and we're continuing to do some random, very difficult GCSE questions. Although of course very difficult depends on what you prefer and what you like and what you don't like. But either way, it's probably most people's least favourite subject after transformations, which is vectors. So pause the video, give it a go. I consider this a pretty difficult question. It's not the worst vectors question I've seen, but it's definitely quite difficult. So have a go, back in a second. All right, so how do we do? Now, the key to these questions, and actually, I haven't done this question in a while, so I'm going to be working it out with you, see where I go. The key to this question is to read everything carefully. So the diagram shows a quadrilateral. Importantly, not a parallelogram or things where I can use parallel lines. And then it gives me some vectors. So O to A is 4A, that's on the diagram. O to B, 3B is on the diagram. And B to C is 2A plus B. Now, almost always with these questions, there's a really easy starting point, which often helps you with the next bit. So the easy start here is find A to C in terms of A and B. So I'm going to write out what I'm doing. So A to C, I'm going to go from A to O plus O to B plus B to C. And then if I can write these things out, so A to O is minus 4A, being really careful with my direction. O to B is plus 3B. And from the diagram again, B to C is 2A plus B, so plus 2A plus B. Let's collect all these terms, and so that means that A to C is minus 4A plus 2A, which is minus 2A. And then 3B plus B is going to give me plus 4B. Now I would note, in fact, actually I'm going to just move this down a little bit and just say what I'm about to say by writing it down. I would note two things. Firstly, I don't know where this question is going, but I suspect the fact that I can write this as minus 2 lots of A minus 2B might be relevant a bit later on. So both of those two answers work. It's fine. First part of the question done. I'm happy with that. Next part of the question. Actually, before I continue, A to C, because I'm about to use it, I'm also clearly going to put the arrows on the diagram here. That is probably going to be useful going forward, isn't it? Right, here we go with the hard bit. The point P lies on AC such that A to P, P to C is 3 to 2. In other words, this is 3 parts and this is 2 parts, or 3/5 and 2/5, depending on what you prefer. The point Q is such that OPQ and BCQ are straight lines. So, okay, right. Using a vector method, so OPQ and BCQ. So OPQ is obviously going to be over here somewhere because BCQ is on a straight line that meets it. So Q must be over here somewhere. Okay. Using a vector method, i.e. not guessing, find O to Q in terms of A and B. Give your answer in its simplest form, show your workings clearly. Right, okay, so I'm trying to get to O to Q, and I'm going to do that by building up a method. Now, a couple of things I don't know. I don't know the ratio of P to Q to O to P, and I don't know the ratio of C to Q to B to C. It doesn't tell me any of that in the question at all. So I am at some stage going to have to think of what we often call the lambda. So I'm going to say that, which way shall I do it? I'm going to say that O to, actually it's very hard to do this with the diagram as well, isn't it? So let's try and shrink it down a bit so you can see the diagram as well. I'm going to say that O to Q, bearing in mind as well that I used A to C in the previous question. So I'm going to say that O to Q is going to be lambda lots of O to P. Now, it might turn out that actually using a different fraction might be easier, but it will fall out in the end anyway. I'm also going to say that B to Q is going to be mu lots of B to C. And that's because I know both O to P and B to C, don't I? Actually, I don't know O to P, do I? So let's work out O to P. So O to P. Now, in the initial stages of frankly feeling around a bit and trying to get different ideas, you will get marks for doing the right thing along the way. So working out O to P is definitely going to be helpful. And I would know O to P is 3/5 of A to C. So let's work out O to P. So O to P is going to be O to A plus 3/5 of A to P, which thankfully, sorry, A to P, A to C, which thankfully I had to work out earlier. And again, it's not a hint, that's too strong, but the question is definitely helping me by telling me that I'm probably going to need that. Now I know that O to A is going to be 4A, and I know A to C, well I worked that out earlier, I'm going to use the unfactorized form, is going to be minus 2a plus 4b. And I can combine all of this. Let's zoom in a bit so you can see what I'm doing. So that's going to be 4a minus 2 times 3/5 is minus 6/5 a. And then plus 4 times 3 is 12, so plus 12/5 of b. This isn't feeling like the nicest question in the world. I thought it wasn't too bad, but it is not a nice question. Now, 4 is the same as 20/5, and 20 minus 6 is 14, so that's the same as 14/5 plus 12/5 of b. So I've worked out O to p. Now, what's my strategy going to be here? I've worked out O to p, and therefore I know what O to q is because it's lambda lots of that. And I'm going to do the same thing with b to c and b to q, and therefore I'm going to get from O to q in two different ways, and they must be the same vector. Okay, so I've got my idea now. So let's carry on. Let's write down what I just said. So therefore O to q is going to be lambda lots of what I've just said. So it's 14 over 5 lambda lots of a plus 12 over 5 lambda lots of b. Wow. Okay, same idea again. Let's now do b to c. So b to c actually told me that in the question, didn't it? So b to c from the question, so there's no way except for going up and down at the moment, is going to be 2a plus b. This one's a little bit easier, isn't it? And therefore b to q is mu lots of that, so it's going to be 2 mu a plus mu b. Now, I'm going to go from O to q into two different routes. I've already done O to q by the straight line method that goes through p, where I've worked out O to p by going across a to p. I'm also going to go up and across, which is a different route, which means therefore I'm not going in well, I'm literally going in a circle, but it means I'm not using a circular argument to solve it. So let's go O to b and b to q. So I'm now going to work out a different route for O to q, which is going to be O to b plus b to q. And that is going to be, well, O to b, again, apologies going up and down, O to b is 3b. And then I'm adding on 2 mu lots of a and mu lots of b. And if I combine all of this together, that gives me 2 mu lots of a and adding on 3 plus mu lots of b. Wow, not easy. Now, let's zoom into the actual working out part. I know it must be the case that O to the q on the left must be equal to O to q on the right. So therefore, because they are equal, it must be true that 14 over 5 lambda must be equal to 2 mu. And it must also be true that 12 over 5 lambda must be equal to 3 plus mu. Two equations, two unknown. It seems easier to use this one here to say that mu is equal to, well, divide both sides by 2, 7 over 5 lambda. And then I'm going to put that one to this equation over here. So I've got 12 over 5 lambda is equal to 3 plus 7/5 lambda. Now remember, lambda was a longer line, so I'm expecting a number that's greater than 1 here. So I take away 7/5 from both sides. That's going to give me 5/5 lambda is equal to 3. And then I divide by 1, and so therefore that means lambda is equal to 3. Now, with lambda equals 3, that means I can put my lambda back into here. I don't need my mu, do I? So that means O to q is going to be at this, I said at the start, didn't think it was too bad. This is a bad question, isn't it? It's going to be 14 over 5 times 3 lots of a plus 12 over 5 times 3 lots of b, and I can combine all of that, which tells me that ultimately O to q, the thing I'm trying to find out, is 14 times 3 is 42, 42 over 5a plus 36 over 5, let's try that neatly, 36 over 5b, and that is my final answer. Wow, definitely turned out to be much tougher than I thought it was, but equally, working your way through slowly. I mean, as you heard me say at the start, I had no idea how I was going to do this question. I had seen the question before, but can't remember. It's from a couple of years ago. And there is a degree to which you're just writing some stuff down, albeit with a strategy, and then picking marks along the way, and you're looking for two routes that you can therefore compare. Anyway, let me know how you did in the comments. Well done if you got it right. And the usual thing, do like the video, really helps the video grow, and definitely subscribe to the channel. See a lot more of these videos coming. Thanks all.